Very good, thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's the May 15th regular Board of Ed meeting. We've just come from executive session, so we've already taken attendance. We've said the Pledge of Allegiance. We've read the Sunshine Act. The only addition, Mr. DeQuilla, if you could add Lotta to the attendance. Oh, and Mr. Gilfillan, I'm sorry. So we're going to skip, we already did the Pledge of Allegiance, so we're going to streamline the meeting a little bit tonight and head right into, stand by, superintendent's reports.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. I have 3 items. The first is just to give an update on enrollment. So we haven't had much enrollment change since the last meeting, but we have had to make some decisions about where we will run certain programs for next year. So as of now, we do need to add a couple of sections, 2 sections to Southern Boulevard School.
I'm sorry, A section?
2 sections. We
We're
had
gonna
already
do 7?
7 in 3rd grade alone.
7 in 3rd grade.
So in doing so, that was on the horizon. One of them we had baked into the budget. The other one we were taking a kind of a wait-and-see approach.
Right.
So with those 2 sections, though, we're going to move 2 of the self-contained special education sections from Southern and move them to Washington,
Okay.
which is actually where they had been before.
Right.
And then we are moving our preschool programs from Washington to Milton, all of them.
All the
So we will centralize the preschool programs. I mention it now because we have a little bit of room to go before we hit max capacity in Milton and Washington for kindergarten. If we do exceed 25 in a section in those buildings, what we would do is add a section to Washington. Right now we have 3 sections of kindergarten slated for next year. We'd move to 4. And if we continued to add students to Milton, we would enroll some students in kindergarten in the Milton neighborhood at Washington Avenue School.
Okay. Just for the year, or that would be their placement?
Just for the year. So kindergarten for some students, we've done this in the past also when we have been full at Washington, we've directed students to Southern or vice versa. So that's a possibility. It's not something that's a reality at this point, but if 2 months from now we continue, if 2 months from now we had an unusual surge at the kindergarten level, we would potentially have to juggle some students and put some students in a non-neighborhood school. Second item from me is that we have meetings scheduled for Wednesday night, and Mr. DeQuilla had sent a note because someone had a conflict at one of the meetings, so he was looking to move the meetings up. And Peter, was that to 6 or 5:30?
The current schedule is finance at 6:30, curriculum at 7:30. We're hoping to do finance at 5:30 and curriculum at 6:30. Finance is Mr. Gilfillan, Ms. Weber, and Ms. Ciccarelli. Since Mr. Arnock is not available the whole week, and curriculum is then Ms. Clark, Ms. Kenny, Mr. Gilfillan, and Ms. Weber.
I can be there at 6:45. We can start.
We'll talk slow.
Talk slow. Yeah.
So you want finance at 5:30?
If
Yes.
possible, yes. Right, Mr. Gilfillan?
Fine.
I can do that.
I can do that.
If I get fired from my regular job, I'll just blame you.
Yeah, from
From my paying job.
Matt, can you do 6:30?
If you wouldn't mind.
Can you do 6:30? You guys can't leave me there.
Why don't you
coming
make
I
it
can go.
5:30 for finance?
No, I'll be there.
Okay,
I'll be
that's
there.
good.
We'll talk slow at the beginning and really fast at the end. Okay, we're good. We can do that. We'll make that
Very
work.
efficient. If not, I'm not Rich filling because we were in excellent.
Since I'm on neither committee, I'm okay with whatever you guys want to do.
You'll do
Thanks, Rich.
Careful, Rich.
You gotta bring appetizers and dinner.
All right, very good, thank you. And then my third item is that you will see on the addendum tonight, I think it is, we have the appointment of 2 supervisors to our administrative team. And some of you just got to meet both of those candidates. And I'm very excited about these 2 appointments. Stacy Winters is one of them. She will become our new supervisor of mathematics in a few minutes. Ms. Winters and I were hired the exact same year. We started the same day in Chatham about 16 years ago. She went off and left the district for a year to get some supervisory credibility under her belt, and now she's rejoining us as supervisor, and we're delighted that she is coming back, and we look forward to working with her. And then on the World Language ESL side of the ledger, we have Tamar Spitzer. Ms. Spitzer is coming to us with about a decade of administrative and supervisory experience in ESL and world language. And both of these women proved their mettle through a pretty rigorous interview process. We had nearly 60 applicants for both of these positions, and Ms. Ciccarelli, who served on both of the selection panels, I'm sure can attest to just how talented, skilled, and expert these two individuals were. So we're delighted to welcome Tamar and Stacy to the team here in Chatham.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
And did you have any comments that you wanted to make just to follow up? And thank you for spending so much time. I know
Yes, my pleasure.
You're also probably going to get fired from your day job.
Right. I haven't gotten fired yet, so that's good. No, just incredible, incredible candidates, and, you know, they were in good company. It definitely, I'm sure, was not an easy decision, but these two ladies really stood out, and we're going to be in very good hands with both of them, so looking forward to seeing them work their magic.
And welcome to the district,
Yes.
and welcome home.
back.
Welcome home, Stacy. It's good to have you back again.
And that is it for my report.
Can I just ask one thing, Mike?
Sure.
When we move, sorry, I just want to make sure that, and I know you're always thinking about this, but when we do move those self-contained classrooms, I want to make every effort to keep those students, teachers, staff, and kind of contained to a place where they're not being moved often. I know space limitations are tricky, but I think they would benefit from being in a consistent environment.
Yep, absolutely. They've been at Southern now for a good number of years. They were at Washington before. I was over at Washington Avenue School last week, just figuring out the classrooms. Vindaloo has been closely involved, so I think things will move in a smooth direction.
Okay, great, thank you.
And then slightly longer term, we have 4 new classrooms coming
Right.
online at Milton,
Right.
a year or so from now. Okay, I didn't have any additional. Rich, are you good?
Nope. Yes.
Matt, you good? Ladies, Michael? All good? Okay. Dr. LaSousa, are you telling them to go, or are you telling
I
them?
was telling them to go. They can wait till the agenda item passes, but I don't want to keep them.
What if we change our minds?
I'll send them an email at 11 o'clock tonight.
So you don't want me to sleep, is what you're saying?
Could be a little cocky leaving before the vote, but that's... You didn't commit to Latin and Greek during the interview process.
I heard some talk about American Sign Language, so I'm good.
No, just...
Seriously, ladies, I know you have a very
Thank
long
you.
day. Thank you. I know you've been on your feet.
Thank you. Good luck, welcome.
Welcome aboard. Thank you very much. And again, welcome home, Stacy. Again, stay. You can stay if you want. Okay, very good. Dr. LaSousa, you're good?
Good.
Okay, very good. Mr. DeQuilla, moving on to...
Yes, just to quickly report for the status of the referendum and the projects, everything is moving on. There is a resolution tonight to award the contract for the Cougar renovation Phase 2, so that's progressing. There will be planning meetings with the contractors for the work at Cougar Field, the work at Southern Boulevard, the work at the middle school around the alterations around the auditorium classrooms coming up in the next 2 weeks. Currently, the CHS auditorium bid is out and publicized. This bid opening June 1st. Depending on the results, we hope to award that June 5th so that the contractor can get started hopefully sometime before the end of June. And the architect and the district are still working on the plans for the CMS STEM edition, the middle school edition, and the central office building. In addition to that, as reported in the agenda, all of the schools have had their spring bus drills, bus evacuation drills as noted, so we're in compliance with all of the regulations for the busing.
They're all complete.
Yes.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions on any of the referendum or construction or even the bus drills? I didn't want to slight them.
It's heavy stuff on your investment.
No, understood. Okay, very good. We might circle back on some questions during board business, Peter, but we're going to move on. Moving on to committee reports, personnel, Ms. Ciccarelli.
We have not met since our last meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for, I think, still June 5th.
June 5th. Excellent, thank you. Any questions? No, very good. Curriculum, Ms. Clark.
Curriculum has not met. We are meeting Wednesday, the 17th at 6:30,
We think.
for those who can make it.
Finance and Facilities, Mr. Gilfillan.
Two things. One, we haven't met. We're meeting on Wednesday this week. And then the two is myself, Mike, and Pete had the luxury of presenting our budget to the Chatham Township Council on Tuesday of last week.
Thursday of last week.
Thursday of last week, where we gave out all of our budget figures as well as our, spoke to our intent of moving to the new 4 district offices.
Okay, excellent. And I presented to the borough on the same week, but at the Monday meeting with Dr. LaSousa. It was good dialogue, you know. It lasted about an hour, mostly because of Q&A, but it was an interesting back and forth dialogue. Any other questions on finance and facilities, since they're going to meet? So thank God we have Mr. Connors on policy, who's actually working.
Well, unlike the other
Chairman
committees on the Board of
Connors.
Education, ours, the policy did meet yet again. I'll keep the whole district on our shoulders, but we're doing the best we can. We met early this evening. Most of us were in attendance.
I drive.
We discussed, there was a request by Paddle. You guys may have been aware of their requests, and after the administration presenting their position, it is the Policies Committee, the recommendation to agree and approve of the varsity designation. But because of the fact that the Paddle did not meet certain criteria as required by the statute, we are not going, the administration did not recommend that they be given the physical education exemption, to which we completely agree after reviewing the regulations and the appropriate statute. So we are recommending out of the policy that Paddle be designated as varsity effective September 2017, Michael? Doctor?
Yeah, it's a winter sport.
Winter sport, but not bestowing the phys ed exemption. We also discussed an issue regarding district employees and ability to go to school. We're going to tuition non-district students going to school here. We're going to be revisiting that because I think it's a fairly complicated issue that a number of issues have to be taken into account. Don't want to have a broad brush rule, but want to have a comprehensive policy, but also leaving with the administration with certain degrees of discretion where appropriate. And there was also a discussion regarding the use of the snack shack in terms of at Cougar Field. And I think an issue came down to is whether or not that is a policy or a facility issue. The policy, although I think we'll be accused of kicking the can, do think it's a facility issue to be discussed with regard to the use, because I think the district does have a say and should have a say with the operations of the snack shack, in conjunction with those people who are using it, particularly the boosters. If the facilities doesn't think it falls under their purview, then the policy committee will be taking, because I think there are certain issues that need to be addressed and to be taken into consideration from a district level. That was quite a mouthful. The district policy committee does an awful lot. No, I'm just kidding. You can all clap if you'd like. It's helpful.
Rich, I actually did have a question on the non-resident policy. Is that something you're,
No,
You
it's
s-
not. Oh, sorry.
go ahead,
It's not non-resident.
which one is it? Oh, just tuition?
It's as it relates to employees.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was not clear. It was an employee of the district having their kids come to the school, and whether or not we're going to
Don't reside.
revisit the issue, the policy as to the scope of that and whether, how that should be played out. And we think we're going to revisit the policy and the regulation.
Okay.
So I apologize if I wasn't that clear.
No. And do you have a time frame, or not quite yet?
Sooner rather than later. I mean, I'd like to have it by the next,
I'll see.
By September, or?
no, I think I'd like to have it by the board meeting, because if it's going to affect students in the school, I'd like for them to have as much advance notice as possible so they're not hearing about any changes. Not that there will be changes, but to the extent that there are, I think in fairness to those whose parents do have children enrolled in the district, I'd like that issue, so they are aware of our position sooner rather than later, so they can make appropriate changes.
Okay.
Is it
If any
not-
are needed.
Is it not part of their contract?
No, it's not. I think we're talking about, I think we'll talk about it.
Further?
Further, because it's, yes, right now it is. It's, and Mike, do you want to speak about, clarify?
It's a board policy right now.
Yeah.
So we haven't looked at the policy in a few years, so we just wanted to take another look and make sure that there's all the language is addressing all of the circumstances we've dealt with and ensure that it makes sense and it's appropriate.
Yeah, I don't think that's part of the collective bargaining agreement, if that's your question, no.
No.
That's more of a policy, it's an internal policy that we have in the district, and we want to revisit that and make sure we're being fair going forward but also giving the administration the appropriate level of discretion.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
We are not, I don't know, when's our next meeting?
Tomorrow,
Probably before the next one.
after this one.
It's June 14th. June 14th.
Oh, is it June 14th? Okay. I
Thank
got
you.
that down.
Thanks for working so hard over there, Rich.
Thank God, somebody is.
June
A little more
14th,
appreciation.
right,
Moving on to the borough, again, Mr. Connors.
Nothing to report from the
Oh,
borough.
I have stuff to report.
Moving over to the township, Ms. Clark?
Yes. On May 24th, Wednesday, and I don't get Wi-Fi in here, so I can't tell you the exact time, so check the township website. There's an opiate awareness seminar being offered at the township here just to discuss, obviously, the dangers and the prevalence of, and so that is on the 24th of May, and coming back in September, on September 23rd, is Out of the Darkness, this Walk to Fight Suicide, which will be hosted at, it's in Chatham. It was at the high school last
It's at the
year.
high school,
Back
yeah.
at the high school. Again, sponsored.
Oh, they switched it?
It's
Oh,
at Cougar Field.
Thanks, Tom.
And also on that score, the borough is also doing an opioid awareness event at Chatham High School May 30th.
May 30th.
At least that's what is in the plans right now.
Okay.
So I
May
think they'll
30th
announce that
In the
soon.
auditorium?
Yes.
Okay.
The stripped down, just
Got
seats
it.
left in the auditorium?
May 30th, okay.
Excellent. You'll leave a couple of lights on?
Rich.
Okay, excellent. Moving on to athletic boosters. Mr. Connors was not at that meeting, right? Ann and I attended it.
Yes.
I know Ann gave an update. Do you want to talk about with the boosters, or?
I mean, I just gave an update that the Cougar Field Round 2 bids were going to be awarded, and what else did we talk about?
Yeah, they're just, the boosters their funds are dwindling. They haven't had as much influx of funds, so they're just trying to come up with ways to raise money. They've often, in the last 5 maybe years, Rich, picked up some of the coaches' stipends.
They're paying for assistance. They're paying out several tens of thousands of dollars each season that they're providing for assistant coaches, because there's only so much money that we have in the budget. So we'll have assistant coaches and volunteers, and they're providing a tremendous source, not only just for the coach stipends, but also if a team's in a way, so they raise money for sandwiches and food and things of that nature. It is a tremendous organization. In fact, we're blessed by having many of such organizations, Chatham Education Foundation, the similar Chatham for the music and the arts. It's incredible what they give back. And I, again, getting on my soapbox, please, I urge everyone in the audience and who may be watching this, please join and contribute in terms of manpower or money with regard to the boosters. And their next meeting, and I think the last meeting for this season, will be on June 6th.
And they're coming up with some additional fundraisers, like purchasing bricks maybe for in front of the new snack shack. So just keep your eye out for some of the new fundraising efforts that they're going to try and take on. Moving on to performing arts, I'm going to give that report. Mr. Arnott is out of town. So this Thursday morning, we have 155 high school students that will be heading to Orlando, Florida. They will be, on Friday, the marching band will actually lead the character parade as they march down Main Street in the Magic Kingdom. And on Saturday, they're heading to the Disney Institute. The bands, the chorus, and the orchestra will be attending separate workshops with Disney cast members. They are going to discuss skills, attitudes, priorities required for performance excellence. The high schools, during the workshop, they will be working with professional performers as they're going to actually prepare music to a movie soundtrack. So they're going to work with the professional Disney Institute, which is a very rigorous program, and actually play to the soundtrack of a movie. So it'll be neat it'll be a neat experience. The students will return home late on Sunday night. The 8th grade band, chorus, and orchestra will travel to Allentown, Pennsylvania. Not quite as exciting, but still something to look forward to. They'll be heading to Dorning Park. The Addams Family earned 3 Rising Stars Award through the Paper Mill Playhouse. Neil McCaffrey was nominated as Best Actor. Staff members Stephanie Cooperman and Julie Edwards, high school student, have been nominated for Best Hair and Best Makeup. And Jacob Feeney received an honorable mention for supporting actor role as Uncle Fester.
That's so fun.
It was a great show. And the concert season through the spring is going on through June 15th. Please check the calendar for the upcoming concerts. And just a reminder about we're having the first visual arts, K to 12 visual arts show, May 31st and June 1st, between 6:30 and 8:30, and they will be at the Chatham Middle School gym. So again, they're going to have over 800 pieces of student artwork. It's the first time we're doing a visual arts K to 12. We've often done it at each building, but this is the first time we're doing the whole district. I'm sure nobody has any questions on that. If you do, see me later. Chatham Education Foundation, Ms. Kenny?
Yes, the spring appeal letter will be hitting mailboxes before Memorial Day, and piggybacking off of what Rich had to say, that Chatham Education Foundation does a tremendous job of fundraising for the district, and the work that they do affects every school in the district, and so if you could please consider giving, we'd really appreciate it. And then teacher tributes will go in effect on May 23rd, and it's a great way to recognize teachers for their hard work this year. All the contributions go directly towards awarding grants in the teachers' classrooms, and the teachers get a chocolate treat out of it as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Moving on to recreation. Matt?
Nothing to report.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to pass the minutes, the public and private session for April 24th.
Second.
I'm going to do these separately, okay, Peter?
Yes, please.
Could you remind
Yes.
us?
Ms. Clark and Mr. Connors need to abstain since they didn't attend.
Okay, very good.
April 24th, private and executive minutes. Mr. Gilfield?
You sure, Archie? Yes.
Ms.
Yeah,
Chiarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Abstain.
Mr. Connors?
Abstain.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Valenti?
Why are we in such a weird
Mr.
order?
Valenti?
Yeah.
Yes. And Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Agenda passes 5-0.
He's going out of order, which is
Minutes
weird.
at 5-0.
This is not rocket science.
I know.
Stay focused.
He's out of
He's
order.
out of order.
I know.
May 1st, I make a motion to move the public and private sessions for May 1st.
Second.
Thank God we're getting 2 new supervisors. Could you remind us who has to abstain? Oh, we had
There was
everybody.
a full contingent.
We were all here.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you go in
then,
order this time?
Mr. Gilfield?
Yes.
Ms. Chiarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Valenti? Yes. And Ms. Weber?
yes.
Minutes past 7-0.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Mr. DeQuilla. That was a little painful. So we have our first opportunity for public commentary. If you wouldn't mind, when you come up to the mic, if you can sign in and introduce yourself and where you're from, Borough Township. And it doesn't look like there's a throng of people here, so just be cognizant of your own time, if you wouldn't mind.
I already signed in. Hi, my name is Jamie McLaughlin, and I am a Chatham Township resident. I am here to voice my ongoing support for the school district of the Chatham. I am the parent of a current high school student and also an alum who is graduating from college this week. I was also an instructional aide in kindergarten at Washington Avenue School, so I speak from experience both as a parent and a former employee. I was in attendance at the Board of Ed meeting on March 6th, along with a large number of supporters of our school district. At that meeting, Dr. LaSousa spoke about the challenge our schools are currently facing, and the Social Studies Department made a thorough and detailed presentation of the K-12 curriculum. I am speaking out today because after attending that meeting, I find it hard to believe that the debate about the appropriateness of the social studies curriculum is still going on and has even incredulously elevated to a biased, overreaching, and costly lawsuit. The presentation of our curriculum left no doubt that our district was following the format that the state has mandated, had not crossed any lines in promoting one religion over another, and furthermore provided no evidence that the material would in any way indoctrinate our children into another religion. The cost of protecting our children has never been higher, both figuratively and literally. I would like to ask those that oppose the education their children are receiving where the rights of the remaining students fall in any of this. What about the rights of Chatham families, teachers, and administrators who are being subjected to extreme vitriol from zealots and misinformed people around the country? And I would also remind them that in this country, they have the freedom to choose differently for their children if they remain unsatisfied. Absolutely no one is arguing a parent's right to question an issue they deem questionable. However, once the evidence and facts are presented, I do not believe they have the right to continue to infringe on the rights, liberty, and freedoms of the remaining students and families. Their crusade and lawsuit is not only costly on an intellectual and emotional level, it is now becoming a very costly burden for the school district. And most grievously, they are trying to step on the rights of our children to engage and benefit from an education that is free from bias and rich in world history and knowledge. Thankfully, there is a blessing in disguise through all of this, and that blessing is that these baseless claims will never diminish the excellent teachers, administrators, board, and the education our children have received and are currently engaged in. If anything, it has strengthened our resolve to ensure it remains that way. I, along with a large and growing number of fellow residents, will continue to support our school system. We will continue to foster the welcoming community we have always strived to be, and will continue to fight for it. And we will persevere steadily in order to protect our children from a narrow-minded, misguided, uninformed ideology. With truth and knowledge comes power, and we have both on our side. We are Chatham, a community standing strong, and we will not back down. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mrs. McLaughlin. And I'm sorry, your son is graduating from college? Jamie, did you mention your son was graduating from college?
Yes, it's lovely.
And which school is he graduating from? Susquehanna. That's a marvelous.
That's right, that's right.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We both went there.
We did.
Thank you very much, Mrs. McLaughlin.
Bill Heap from the borough. My twins are graduating this weekend, both on the same day. So, Dr.
the same
L'Souza,
day.
I would advise you to do a little advanced planning in that regard. There's nothing we can do about it. We have to split up and go in two different directions.
Bummer.
That's why you have FaceTime. You need to get rid of your flip phone. You can buy it.
Imagine if you're in the 21st century.
You want to borrow mine for the weekend? I'll lend it to you.
I'm not going to mine.
I've got a few basic questions about the tuition. What is the tuition for out-of-town students,
Peter, would you mind?
roughly?
For a high school student, it's
Yeah.
approximately $16,000 a year.
How many people take advantage of that? Do we have kids coming
Currently,
in from
from
out-of-town?
non-residents, there is one high school student.
Okay.
And the student is a junior, and we presume, we haven't had confirmation, will return for their senior year.
Mhm.
And then there are no other non-district students.
And that's by design. We stopped taking tuition students maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago because our enrollment is at critical levels.
Okay, so I can't show up at the front door and say, I'd like to pay tuition and come?
You cannot. You can, but
Okay.
we'll say no.
Okay, got it. And how many,
And thank you for stopping by.
how many employees roughly have their
I'd have to
children?
ask Peter or Mike to answer that.
There's approximately 20 to 28 students from the employees.
Okay,
No, from the employees that pay.
the employees that
their
do not live in,
students here,
that do not live in
it's
town?
approximately 20 to 26 or 25 students.
Okay, so those are employees that live elsewhere but
Yes.
send their kids here. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Congratulations.
But they pay, right?
No, it's not.
No, yeah, just to clarify, employee's not free.
No,
They pay
They pay
stipend.
tuition.
Yeah, it's not free. The employees
The
pay
employees
stipend.
pay for their child to go
Yeah.
here.
I mean, financially, it would pay
Yes,
greatly to
it's
take
a-
on tuition students. It would, I mean, you take on 5 tuition students, it pays for a full FTE teacher. We just haven't been able to. And you get to cherry pick, correct, Mike? When you have a tuition student?
We don't have a real, other districts have an application process. We
Right.
could institute one if we were going to go down the road of trying
Right.
to increase the
And
number
I
of
hope
tuition
someday the
students.
district can go down that road, it's just right now we're not able to. But thank you, Bill.
Melissa Cavallone from the township. Just one thing that was kind of brought to my attention last week. We had an incident at one of the schools. You may or may not have heard about it. But there was an incident of food allergy-based bullying, essentially. And my understanding of it is that, I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but the child, I don't know, instigator, what exactly you call them, but he said he was unaware that the other child had a food-based allergy. And that made me just think that maybe it's time to take a look again at our food allergy program, not to be outing people specifically, but if there is a danger, a physical danger, someone with a contact allergy like that, whether it's peanuts, dairy, whatever, that is life-threatening to them, that maybe we need to be helping those students be identified without putting them, on a pedestal or in a bubble room or anything like that. But just thinking that maybe it is time to take a look at the policies again, just to also protect the school in case of a liability issue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Any additional public commentary? There's another opportunity if you're so moved. No? Nothing at all? All right, so we're going to move on to our regular action items. If it appears that we go through quickly, these packets are available on Friday afternoon, usually by close of business, by 3 or 4 in the afternoon, so we've had an opportunity to look at them. So if it appears that we go through quickly, it's just that we've read them over the weekend. So moving over to personnel, Ms. Clark, would you mind? I'm sorry, Ms. Ciccarelli, I apologize.
Taking my job away already?
No, you can have it.
Okay, I'd like to move action items A 1 through 21 on your regular agenda and A 3, 22 through 25 on the addendum. Correct?
It's on the back too. We can, yeah, it's on the back side.
Right.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Ciccarelli or Dr. LaSousa or Ms. Grant? Beth, are the new supervisors on the addendum or on the main?
They're on the addendum numbers 23 and 24.
Oh, thank you.
They're embedded in the language.
Yeah, got it. That's why I couldn't find it. Thank you.
We need both face tape or something.
I'm sorry, 22 and 23, sorry about that.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. Does anybody have any questions? No, seeing none. Mr. DeQuillo, would you mind?
I will, but I just need
A second.
Oh,
I'll second. Don't mind.
agenda items A1 through 21, addendum item number 3, and 22 to 25. Mr. Gilpin.
Yes.
Ms. Ciccarelli.
Yes.
Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Connors.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Mr. Valenti. Yes. And Ms. Weber.
yes.
Agenda items passed 7-0.
Excellent. Moving on to finance and facilities, Mr. Gilfillan?
I'd just like to move action items B1 through 14 on your regular agenda.
No addendum, right?
No addendum.
I'll second.
Thank you.
A couple donations, one Whopper. Lafayette Avenue PTO. Donation in the amount of almost $29,000 for the purchase of a sound system for the gymnasium as well as outdoor equipment and updates. That's an unbelievable effort by the parents. We thank them very much. And then last but not least, a small donation of a treadmill valued at $400 from Dorothy Sherbanak to the high school. Thank you very much for keeping our kids fit. Pete, on 14, the bid for Cougar Phase 2. What is this? What's the inclusion on this? This is what?
This includes the fencing, the macadam work, the walking path, the snack shack, and the renovations of the parking lot, or the improvements into the parking lot.
Everything but the bleachers.
The alternate, everything but the bleachers. The alternate one was the fencing around it. Alternate 2 was for some plumbing that may be we're not sure if it's necessary for the snack shack yet, for the waistline.
Yes. Okay.
The architect wanted a baseline of what the price would be. So if necessary, then we'll do that as a change order.
And this is the same contractor that is doing phase one?
Yes, fortunately, it worked out that way, so we'll have one contractor doing the whole job, so that's a good thing.
And the sound system, is that part of,
The sound system
Is
not
on
part
us.
of that. That's something we deemed, the district
We
would be
pulled
able
that
to
out.
purchase as through state contract, and
Okay.
then we'll avoid the markup that the contractor would have added on.
and are we working on that sound ourselves, or are we bringing in that genius guy that we met with?
That
That
is
is
still to
auditorium.
be determined.
Okay. But maybe when he's on site, talking about the auditoriums,
We will definitely pick his brain.
drag him over to Cougar, because the guy was absolutely brilliant. So if we can tap him, don't pay him, but tap his expertise.
Will do.
Thank
Can you
you.
explain again, so with the base bid, okay, but if we use alter one or alt two, do we have to utilize the lowest bids within those?
Yes, it's a
So it gets-
combined, so that CAT who the bid is being awarded to, when you add the two up, it's still the lowest bidder, when you take any of the alternates.
I think it's to our advantage too that it's the same contractor doing both phases.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions on any of the finance or facility items? No? Seeing none, Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind?
Sure, agenda items D1 through D14, Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Ms. Chiarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Connors,
Yes.
Ms. Kenny,
Yes.
Mr. Valenti,
Yes.
and Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Agenda items passed 7-0.
Excellent. Moving on to curriculum, Ms. Clark?
I move action item C1.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions on C1? Well, you couldn't have any questions in public anyway, so.
Yeah.
Seeing none,
Agenda item C1, Mr. Gilbert.
Yes.
Ms. Chiarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Connors,
Yes.
Ms. Kenny,
Yes.
Mr. Valenti. Yes. And Ms. Webb.
yes,
Agenda item passes 7-0.
excellent. For all the hard work that policy's doing, I don't see it resulting in any actual resolutions.
We do a lot of stuff.
With your action items.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Policing every day.
We are policing every day.
So moving on to board business, I just wanted to mention, Matt and I both presented to the township and the borough, and there was a lot of great dialogue, and we've presented the borough, the budgets for as long as I can remember to both the council. One topic that came up at both meetings was obviously the enrollment and the strain that it is on the infrastructure. Given that we have a 2% cap, we still have to accommodate all the enrollment, so we have pretty much a fixed income and variable expenses with our teachers and our enrollment going north. One of the things that will absolutely affect that are the affordable housing settlements, both in the township and the borough. And both councils are doing a phenomenal job. They're working through the settlements. I believe the borough has completed. The township is diligently working on it. But what is unknown is the number of units that will result in. And it's a bit of a fluid number, and it's a very complicated topic. So there was some extensive conversation on how much the Affordable Housing or Your Fair Share Act will have on the district in, maybe not in 1 year, 2 years, but certainly 3, 5, 10 years out, and how we can best plan for that. Matt, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, we just need to see what the expected numbers are of units for the borough and the township, and then we need to make plans in terms of what the potential aspect it means to our enrollment growth. I mean, I'm not quite sure if these are, 50 units per the town, but there has to be some form of enrollment growth expected from that as residents move into the affordable housing. So we need to be thinking ahead how we're going to manage that. As you can see right now, we're already filled to the brim, and in addition of just 50 more students is going to impact us across the board potentially. So we need to be ahead of the game, but we also need to understand it as a board and as a school district. So
How do we get there? How do we get ahead of that number?
well, the one thing is, the first thing to do is understanding what that figure is going to be, and understanding the timeframes of when these units are going to have to be completed by under the settlements that they have with the state. And then at that point, we're going to have to make assumptions as to, and ask the questions as to how these issues in other towns have impacted enrollment. And I would think at that point, well, someone may tell us there'll be no issues in terms of enrollment, I think we need to make some broad-based assumptions based upon educated guesses versus what other towns have seen from an impact basis, and utilize those to come up with a strategic plan.
Matt, do they even have an idea of, are they one-bedroom, two-bedroom, three-bedroom
I
units?
don't think they've gone that far.
So I think the borough's a little further down the path than the township, because they've settled
Yeah.
and they know the location. The unknown is that whole overlay, which, process, which is promise of units in the future if certain areas are developed, which is why I think maybe we need the borough and the township to maybe come and give us at least what they know, maybe if, just like we present our budget, I think it would be nice maybe if sometime in the fall timeframe, maybe we can ask whoever's heading up that committee, maybe they can present to the board so we can start to get our arms around and start planning that, even though it's gonna hit, 3, 4, 10 years down the road. Matt, do you think that's?
Yeah, I would absolutely like that.
I think that's a great idea. I think we should approach both councils and have them come here and explain to us
At least what they're
what the
thinking.
implications are going to be of their decisions, because I think we'd be foolish not to presume there's going to be an increase, even if there's one bedroom. I mean, people are going to come and our enrollment is going to grow. It's going to happen. It hasn't gone down, in fact, it's gone up. We're an anomaly than any other district in New Jersey in that regard. So I think whether we go to them and make a request, they come to us, but I do think it would be appropriate for them to come in and explain to us the details of that, is how many, according to the settlement, how many buildings you're putting up, how many units, how many bedrooms, and what have you. Because it is going to affect us. To assume it's not would be foolhardy.
I agree.
I mean, we have to look at this ask for the demographics of housing like this. I mean, does it tend to be what people buy or move into these affordable housing? Does it tend to be empty nesters? Does it tend to be young people? Does it, we don't know. So we have to try to come up with those figures.
And again, I think the council has some of those figures, which is, I'd like them to send a representative to maybe present to us.
I think the borough does. I do agree. I think they are a little further advanced along the path than the township is. So
So maybe we could reach out to Mayor Harrison, Mayor Ritter, and again, maybe the fall timeframe. I'm not trying to jam up their calendar, but maybe in the fall, September, October timeframe, they might be able to send a committee member, whoever's representing that committee that's working on affordable housing.
or we'll go to them.
No, we go to them all the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier for one of them to come here to present to 9 of us than 9 of us to go there.
Agreed.
I agree with that.
Okay. I didn't have anything else. I just,
Thank you for going that way.
That's great.
sure, yeah, I met at the township, which was super nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. Any other board business? No? No board business. So we have our second opportunity for public commentary. If something came up or struck you during the meeting, or just something you've been holding back, if you wouldn't mind signing in, if you have an item you want to bring to our attention. Seeing nobody. I don't think we have an additional executive session, correct, Mike? We do not. Okay. Then, seeing no additional public commentary, I make a motion to close the public session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
For coming.
Thank you for coming out.